Welcome back in, everyone, to Crossing the Streams with MoreAmor. I am your guest host with the most, Zach Rutledge here, along with our co-host with the most, Brandon Rutledge. And our guest continues to be the fabulous, the fantastic, the supersonic MoreAmor. How you doing, MoreAmor? Welcome back in.
Thank you, Zach. It is good to be here on my show.
On your own show.
Again on my own show.
Again on your own show. We obviously we got a little long-winded there, but it just happens when you have a great conversation. But let's pick it back up and let's get right back into this amazing conversation. Was your return when the Lego community started to kind of blossom, or was it before that?
I floated around for a good year and a half after that. When I returned, that was like a year and a half, almost 2 years. I explored so many different things, Zach. Like I became back to a indie game variety streamer for a long time, for most of that, and then I became a content creator. So a lot of the stuff that we even touch on now, like that's where I built all that knowledge. I was like, well, maybe, because at this point I've had 3-ish years of Twitch experience behind me and streaming experience. I'd used, XSplit, OBS, Streamlabs, OBS, all that. Like I know all the technical aspects of it. I built a show around that aspect of streaming. So not the stories, like this is actually part of what brought me to where Crossing the Streams is. I started looking at on a technical level, how can I help people with their streams? How can I help you get better at your streams? I did what was called morning stream review. And I like once or twice a week, I would get on with a person and you could find them on my YouTube channel. All the VODs are there. I would like walk through the channel and be like, all right, here's all the things we can fix on a technical aspect about your channel. And I would just step through. I'd take like 40 minutes and we would walk through the channel. And then we talk about the things that they wanted to improve. So I spent time being a like how-to guy, which a lot of my side hustles last year were writing guides for OBS, Streamlabs OBS, and doing things for websites like Streamer Square. I wrote a lot of their blog posts. I wrote a lot of their modules for the thing that they call Solar Stream now, which is like a subscription service. There's a free version, but there's a subscription service where you can read up on guides on how to do stuff. I've written a bunch of stuff over there. So if chances are, if you're trying to figure out how to use OBS and use some of those sites, I probably wrote it. I wrote blog posts for Visuals by Impulse, doing some of the similar things. So I built up a lot of the knowledge of the how-to of how to do it. And then eventually, one day, I started doing Lego, which after doing like I said, I did some variety, I did some content creation. I had kind of just a stint of like I'm gonna be like a PlayStation streamer,
right?
So I'd play PlayStation exclusives, and then I got to the point where I was like, man, this is all good and well, because I was still building a community. I still like a lot of the people from the original community were still on Discord. And a lot of them were still coming back for all this random stuff that I do. Shout out to like people like Husky Potato and Core Bob and Arc Fox and Dark Knight and all of them. They've been with me in these different iterations of what the channel is, and they're still here now that we're doing Lego.
Yeah. Well, had you already or always been into Lego, even as a kid, or was this kind of a new thing?
As a kid, yeah.
Yeah. Did you have the dark age of no Lego?
Yeah, I had the dark age of no Lego. So when I was a kid, I think my first set I got is like maybe 5-6 years old. I can still see it. It was like one of those sets that had the green base plate and you had all the pieces to make like a house and like a little yard. And that was my first set. And then it took a hard right turn, and I was getting like M-Tron sets and Blacktron sets and all the space ones. And then I had some castle and some of the pirate stuff too. But I had, and we talked about this in other streams, I had a lot of little sets. So my collection was like a lot of little sets. And up right until I was maybe 11, 12, I was still kind of playing with them. And then they got put in a box, put in a shelf, didn't think about them. I think I got a random Lego set here and there in college because I thought they were cool, but never really had, like, my dark ages lasted with save for a couple random sets here and there up until last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I ordered R2D2.
Oh, wow. That was your journey back.
I was like, yo, there's an R2D2 and that looks dope because I am a Star Wars fan.
Right. And
I ordered it, got the email. It said it was on back order. I'd have to wait until they get it. And I was so bummed out because I got super excited, right? I was super excited. I hit buy. I got the email, and then I got the update email the next morning that was like, oh, sorry. Like, it's delayed. I'm like, son of a...
Will he always be sitting there over your shoulder as a place of honor?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good.
And so, yeah, after that, I was like, well, okay, now I have to wait for a freaking R2-D2. So then the Daily Bugle got announced. I was like, God, am I going to really buy 2 sets before getting either of them? I bought the Daily Bugle. And when I went to build the Daily Bugle, I was like, why not stream it?
Yeah.
Because I was familiar with Brick and Nick and Set to Build. I'd been watching their streams for like a year, a couple of years at this point. And I was like, why haven't I done this sooner? I'm just going to build Lego. And, for those that don't know my stream, a lot of my brand, a lot of my experience is we chill. Like, I play lo-fi. Some people will make fun of chill streams, but like, I play lo-fi hip hop. The lights get a little dim. I get enough light on my desk to build, and we just chill out and we build Lego.
And that is the true epitome of chill. That's some of us go through pockets of chill throughout the course of a thing, but you really are the epitome of, like, even somebody like Brick and Nick who has been doing it forever. It's chill, but it's like there's still crazy, loud, some louder alerts or whatever. Somebody subs, somebody follows, he dances a little bit, whatever. Unless he's zoned in. If he's in the zone and working and mocking and whatever, that's totally different. But it's interesting to see how many different levels of chill we get throughout the community. It's the Lego community is an onion. There's so many layers that you can peel back.
There's so much stuff you guys are talking about that are just like over my head. Like, I'm just kind of along for the ride.
Are there things I can better explain? Let me know.
Yeah. Well, you talked about doing like your how to be a Twitch streamer, right? I want you to I want you to do a how to become a game designer. That's what I want for your next project.
Yeah. There's been so many times where people, I don't know, for me, it's such a nebulous thing. So many people don't even know what a game designer does. And I think that's part of the difficulty with it, is because I remember telling my parents I got the game design job, and they're like, what does that even mean? Like, what? Right. They're like, are you going to be using like those programming classes that you took? Right. Because I took some programming classes. I entered college actually not as an applied psychology major, but a computer software engineer major. And so I did a year and a half, almost 2 full years of that curriculum. I could have gotten an associate's degree in it. I didn't think it through. And I changed majors. And my parents like, does that mean you're going to code? I was like, well, it means I'm going to do some coding, but that's not what that means. It really means quantifying, taking all the things that make the game interesting and fun, and spewing that forth in such a way that you can give that vision to a team that can help you build it, whether it's engineers who are doing the programming or artists who are arting, right? And then me as the designer has to take that vision and be like, how can we make these things work together? And how can we make a very cool experience out of it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's very similar to the same line of work that I do as far as the layers there go, where, you have your producer that is sitting there spewing out the vision to, even an art director, and then they kind of mock up what that vision was. And then you have your doers, the talented people that do the majority of the coding. Now, a lot of times those idea people, they have still a lot of those skills where they can sit down and help and work and do and whatever. But that's what makes, I think, a successful game company, is that they have enough layers where people aren't necessarily having to burn the candle at both ends and have multi jobs to try to accomplish the same thing. They have a lot of people in place that can help. And then, that what's really nice is that gives somebody like you an opportunity, like you have in your head what you want it to look like, how you want it to move, how you want it to interact. And then the particular artist that is doing the work on it, maybe they interpret that a little bit differently and potentially bring something to the table that you weren't expecting, that totally gets you jacked and jazzed about the end product. And that's a really cool collaboration.
Yeah. It's really fascinating, because early on the designers are generally the ones who do the early concept, right? And they work with folks like concept artists to realize visuals. And then a lot of the time in the business, if you're a company like ours, you have to pitch that, right, to different people, or especially even just your own team. But then, like, early on, you're very much vision holder, and you're still to some degree vision holder in terms of like things like gameplay or like progression systems, etc. But like as programmers start to build the thing, and most companies like ours, they don't quite build the thing, but they build the thing that allows us, the designers, to create the content that makes the thing, right? So like the engineers on my project, they work solely on what our card tool. They make the tool that allows a designer like me that says, here's an idea for a really cool card, now I can go make it. Oh wait, it can't do that. I have to pull up an engineer and be like, hey, help me figure out how we can make this work. And they'll either write up some code that'll make it work, or they'll show me how to kind of bend the code to make it do the thing. And then I have to go talk to an artist about all the cool visual effects that fire when it does the thing. So it's interesting because early on you're the vision holder, you're the concept person, but then as things go on and things start to get, like, the engineers are kind of laying the train track, right? And I'm sitting there not just riding the train, but I'm also like shoveling the coal into it to make it go. And so we start to transition into this, okay, now I have to build the content for the game now that they've given me the tools to make the content. So it's a weird thing, but back to what you were saying about, like, I'd love to hear how you would be a game designer. It's such a weird career. There's so many people, like all of my dear friends who are game designers, I come from an applied psychology background, which is very useful, right? With some technical stuff sprinkled in, but I have a friend who's a designer, philosophy major. Like, he was a philosophy major. I had one that was like a college teacher of history. So it's so many just crazy different backgrounds. And of course, nowadays, of course, in the last 5 to 10 years, there are programs that actually teach you how to be a designer, which is kind of a hard thing to teach, but
So moving forward into your Twitch streaming career, you dive back into the Lego world. You get out of your dark ages, you dive back into Twitch, and you start really applying Lego to your Twitch product that you're putting out there. But then you make the switch to this, which, not taking away from your Lego, you're obviously still doing that, but you really start evolving into this storyteller of other streamers and how that they live in this and interact with this Twitch world. You've primarily have chosen people for that program from the Lego community.
Yeah.
What from the Lego community have you seen? How have you seen that Lego community evolve since it was just Brick and Nick and the set to build days?
Man, it has exploded into such a different, eclectic collection of people, right? There's, you have your Brick and Nick, who is someone I consider wildly, welcoming and relaxed, and he's super talented as just a brick builder. So I think that's just a core piece of how he operates, right? Mm-hmm. Same with set to build. They're both very similar in that manner, that they're both really good at just mocking. Although I know in set to build has shared this on his episode of Crossing Streams, that he started off as a set builder and then he kind of got into mocking over time. But they're both incredibly talented, and that was kind of very similar flavors. I mean, they're both incredible people and they both have their own personalities, but after that, there's not, there was a whole lot of, I don't want to say nothing, but there wasn't anything notable for a little while, right? It's been, and admittedly, one of the biggest themes it has carried through Crossing the Streams is most of these people who've come into the community came in over the pandemic.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And I consider the pandemic as somewhat of an accelerant in terms of dropping not just more viewers in, but of course more streamers.
Sure.
Which is very, very well seen. And now you start seeing streams like it's the Jang, right? Mm-hmm. You got Jang, who, well known in the YouTube world, starts streaming here on Twitch, and he has this flavor of all the different redeems. I would say he's probably the first person that I saw that did a lot of this. He had all the different redemptions where, whether it was channel point alerts or channel point videos and things like that playing, kind of as we know, the chaos streams, right? Mm-hmm. We start seeing that. We got an Amish Ace who does that. Your own channel does a little bit of that, and
just
then
a little.
Just a little bit, and then we start seeing other things like and to kind of walk it back a bit, there's Raid Train, right? Mm-hmm. One of the first Raid Trains where you start getting people from different backgrounds that are doing, whether it's like chill streams, not unlike my own, or people who have redemptions, or people who, we've had a couple VTubers do their thing, mm-hmm. doing Lego. So it's been pretty incredible to see kind of, it's a small reflection and why I would consider a small window into a lot of the other types of personalities that you would see on a wider Twitch scale. But now we're tying in Lego with it. You know what I mean? And so we're starting to get all these different flavors of, like, if you like a certain type of vibe, you can almost certainly find it within brick building, where that I didn't think that was the case early on.
Have you seen anything in your history with Twitch all the way back to Justin TV? Have you seen anything grow at the rate that the Lego community has done?
Connected, but not just chatting.
Yeah.
Which is far more randomized, right, in terms of what's possible. Right. There's a lot of different, but I
just count that as a category, right? Not necessarily community.
Right. And I would say if it comes to a particular interest, I wouldn't say anything has really grown the way Lego has and still maintained the level of what I would say interconnectedness that exists.
Yeah. Do you think Twitch is starting to recognize that, and that's why they allowed the stream team to be created?
I would like to think so. Mm-hmm. I would like to think so. I have no visibility on what Twitch thinks, But, you know, because the team exists, that means that somehow, somewhere, they believe that the community has grown enough to do and validate that.
Yeah. You think it's a test? Kind of like your intern test? They're testing the waters with the stream team side of things and seeing what those numbers and community really look like before they finally allow a specific category to be opened up for them.
I've wondered about that. I don't know, honestly, because I feel like if they really wanted to, they could pull a lot of data around the tag, right? Like there's the brick building tag. I feel like if they wanted to know, they could look at the viewership levels, the number of people streaming, the activity around the tag. Obviously you have overlap from games like Minecraft who use the tag as well. But I think that I don't think it's necessarily a test. I think it's a wait and see for them more than anything. I don't know if that means it's going to happen anytime soon. I would like to think so.
Yeah.
But if you're listening and you find yourself in a stream where someone's building Lego and they're not using the tag, politely encourage them to use the brick building.
Give them a little nudge. Give them a little nudge in the right direction.
Give them a nudge, because I think that helps the category. If there's someone who primarily streams Lego or bricks, tell them that the tag is super helpful, and it helps people like us find them.
Yeah.
So we can welcome them to the community and put them on the map there.
And the reason I'm asking you these questions is because you've been around so long in the throughout the Twitch journey, not just your journey with Twitch, but so long in its inception, right? Like its conception is from the Justin TV days to now. And that history of growth of the way, people treat a category versus a community. You kind of said it earlier, like, that with the game you were playing, it was a small community, of stuff. Mm-hmm. But obviously when you get into some of the newer games, there's a lot of people that just keep, unless they are a very specific gamer, there's a lot of people that just kind of keep playing whatever's new and fresh and, on the gaming docket. Everybody's playing Elden Ring, like that kind of thing, right? That's not a community. That's a game category. Like that's just what they're playing, and very rarely do you see that as a community or the continuation of community. I think SOTOR might be the one of the few maybe exceptions to that rule where those people really seem to be a community. And they do interact with each other, and because the game treats it that way, right? Like they encourage that interaction. The Lego community definitely seems to be more of that community because it doesn't have its own category yet. Really, it's got tags, but now we do have the stream team that Twitch allowed them to create. The growth, I think, stands out to me in such a unique way, because what I find, and this is a hard question to pose, but what I find is a lot of people watching it on Twitch look at it and say, I can do that too. And the growth is there. And you start getting more streamers with it. Now, the reason that growth, I think, is sustaining and continuing to grow is because of the community and how much they rally around new people wanting to explore this idea of being a streamer in this community. I love it. I think it's great. I'm curious what your thoughts are when I say, is there unrealistic expectations because of how quickly a new Lego streamer comes in and how quickly the community rallies and gets them to affiliate? We all flock. We all give them the follows. We get them to their viewer average that they need to be at for that specific thing. But then we start to see people kind of fall off that viewership, right?
Yep.
And you start to see some frustration of, where are my people? Where have my viewers gone, kind of thing. Do you think, in your opinion, because of your experience with Twitch, that the quick growth of the community might actually be hurting the community in the long run?
That's a great question. I believe that, I don't think it's hurting it. I think that the growth is good, because what really matters, I mean, there's two components to think of, right? There's the streamer side, there's the viewer side. What we're seeing is a massive uptick in the content creation side, where there's more and more streamers coming out of whether they were, a viewer for a long time, or they were maybe a streamer like myself who pivoted to something new or different. And then there's also kind of that subsection of people who, I've always been into Lego. I want to see if I should stream it because I'm seeing videos of it or I'm seeing it on Twitch, right? But we're seeing a massive uptick in that, especially over the last 2 years. Whereas the viewership itself hasn't grown on the same level. It's not matching it in terms of the ratio, right? We're not seeing the same growth. Now, to answer the question, is it hurting it? I don't think it's hurting it.
Okay.
I don't think it's helping it either. And I'll tell you why, because we're not growing the viewership side as much.
Sure.
And that is where we'll continue to see, like, if we want to sustain this community, that's where we want to see the growth.
Right.
Which is why I believe that we kind of need to continue to build the streamer side up, but we really need to look at how we can bring more people to the brick building Twitch community to watch and support. Right?
Should I know what a stream team is? Because I have no idea what a stream team is.
I'll let MoreAmor explain it, actually, because he has more because the stream team, the brick building community stream team, and this is a very new thing. But it's a unique thing, because before now, stream teams have only been able to be started on Twitch by partnered streamers.
Okay.
So you go through a level of, and I know I said MoreAmor can explain this, and here I am explaining it.
Go for it.
You go through a process with Twitch where you are a streamer, you just start, you stream, whatever, no big deal. And then you have to hit a certain threshold, both on the follower side and the viewership side, to actually become affiliated with Twitch and start earning revenue from Twitch, right? And then you're helping them also earn revenue by ads and things. Then there's another threshold that takes you to partner, and all of that revenue sharing changes more in favor of the streamer as opposed to more in favor of Twitch. Don't get me wrong. Twitch still gets a pretty healthy amount of everything. But one of the perks that they had specifically for partners was the ability to create a stream team, to basically create an in-house community of other streamers that you could all support each other, right? So you helped advertise each other and things like that. And again, that thing was only reserved for partners. The brick building community has two of its basically founding kind of people, both in Brick and Nick and Set to Build, the names we've been throwing around a lot, right?
Yeah.
They're neither one of them are partnered, and I'm sorry, my cat has decided to join the party here. But neither one of them are partnered, but they went to Twitch, petitioned, and Twitch allowed them to create a stream team. So basically went outside of the partner threshold and said, go ahead, let's see what you got, kind of thing, right? And that's why I wondered if it was more of a test, because the main thing that they have been petitioning for was to create a category specifically for Lego builders, for brick builders, to say, like, if you, instead of just being in the makers and crafters section, which has a whole variety of different things, or in the just chatting section, there are a level of what people don't know which category to be in for their streams, there is a specific category for brick building. That was their petition. And until recently, there was no movement on that. And then all of a sudden, in the last month, Twitch has answered and said, here's a stream team. You don't have to be partner. You can have as many, invite as many people as you want. We've all got logos now that we're plastering all over things. But it helps just bring attention to other brick builders. So instead of going through a category, you can go into the individual brick building streamer, click that logo, and see a list of people that have, accepted the brick building tag or brick building stream team thing. It was a really big deal to me anyway. I don't know how you felt about it, but it was a huge revelation that Twitch came out and was like, yes, you guys can have your own stream team without being, because really outside of Jang, there's no partnered specific brick builder, exclusive brick builder. Gotcha. And he brought, he came as Amor said, he came through with a huge YouTube following, that he's built over the last decade, and that helped, kind of usher in, a little bit of recognition there. And he hit partner pretty quick because of those types of numbers coming over. But
they even have partner applications for people who have established social media presence, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I imagine that, I don't know how Jen got his partnership. I just assumed that's how he got it. So but so stream teams are everything Zach said. If you are a partner, you can just form one. And generally speaking, a lot of stream teams exist out there in varying lengths of what they actually do. The way the brick building community is using it is we're solely using it as a destination. Hey, if you're a fan of Lego and brick building, go here and you can most certainly see a list of people who are generally building Lego. And that's one of the rules of the team is if you join the team, like we will let you into the team if we can click on your channel and assume most of the time you're doing Lego. You don't have to do it all the time. But that said, stream teams vary. There's some very highly coordinated teams that do a bunch of things. One of my favorite teams, they go by side quests. They're hugely charity driven, right? So they every couple months they build up a campaign for a charity that they want to really support, and everyone on the team supports that charity, and they build events around it. Other teams are built solely based on the game that they play.
Mm-hmm.
So but yeah, the brick building team is to kind of act as a de facto. We don't have a category, but you can definitely find people who stream Lego by looking at the team.
What advice do you have, again, considering your experience and have been around the block for a while? What advice do you have for new streamers?
Oh man, I ask this every time too. I ask this to
I might have gone to the MoreAmor playbook on some of these questions.
I thought about sending you the playbook, but it's like
the cat is out of the bag, guys. He was not given these questions ahead of time. So I am blindsiding him by a lot of these things.
No, that's good. That's perfect.
Considering he does it to us when he has us on his show.
I totally do. So when I talk to new streamers, I actually, I'm going to withhold the thing that we always say, because we always kind of hit the same points, and I guess I'll just refresh them for you. The same points we usually make on this show usually are, don't go out and buy all the tech that you think you need.
Use what you got.
Use what you got. Don't go out there and buy that really, really nice camera. Don't go out and buy a DSLR camera and a cam link. Don't go out and buy, a whole audio interface and an amazing microphone. Don't do that. Right. So that's kind of the thing we usually cover on the show. Do your best with what you got. Right. But, the second advice that we always hear is, be yourself, right? Try to be genuine. Try to be you, and unapologetically so. But the different advice that I'm going to offer that we don't always hear but something that I would still tell someone that's brand new is understand why you make content. And it's okay to like start, stream, hit the button,
Bingo.
fiddle around, figure it out. Like, it's okay to do that. You don't have to start without knowing. Like, please start, which is number 3, actually. Like, just start. But really what it boils down to is you get comfortable with it, and just circle back the conversation to why, you know, how we can help new Lego streamers is, and I talk about this all the time in my own streams, figure out who you are. Figure out what makes you special within the terms of content creation. Know who you are. Know what your mission is. My mission has changed over the years. My current mission is, how can I help build awareness around the brick building community? Like, that has been my mission for the last 5-6 months. If you look back at everything I've done, how can I help bring awareness to brick building as a community and those who are in it, particularly the creators? And when you figure that out, let that inform the decisions that you make around your stream. Now, the disclaimer is, if you care, right? If you care about being a successful streamer, whatever that might look like, whether it's to be full-time, whether it's to be well-known, whatever it might be, or if it's just a hobby that you enjoy, but you want some direction, figure out what your mission is, and come to the point where you can clearly see that and verbalize it to someone who doesn't know you. Because then when you do that, you can build everything around that.
Would you add in, don't be afraid to pivot, adjust, change? Don't be afraid don't be afraid. Again, considering your background and how it happened. I mean, you did change everything. Sounds like you were a dummy, but you changed. but I joke. But in all sincerity, like, you decided in your brain that, and maybe it was a little bit of forward thinking too. Maybe it was, I don't know. Like you said, it was like, I don't know the sustainability of this, whatever that question may be, but I'm going to make an adjustment because I feel like it's the best situation for me, just like you did moving on from Best Buy to, to being a video game designer. Like it just, you can't be afraid of change. It's scary as hell. Scary as hell, but don't be afraid of it.
True.
But don't be afraid of it. What do you think? What do you think causes streamer burnout?
Oh man,
because we see it. We see it a lot. We see it with
all the time.
Yeah. I mean, you yourself might have been. That may have been a little bit of what made you walk away for 9 months.
Yeah. I won't deny that burnout probably played a huge part of it. And I do agree. Actually, I think my superpower is the ability to pivot as well as iterate, right? I think that's my superpower in both life and as a content creator. And admittedly, I don't talk about that enough, but thank you for pointing that out, because that would be if I had a whole nother chunk of that is it. Don't be afraid. We went through my story, right? So
I want now, after seeing Mevit's Bricks in chat, I want pivot. Now that MoreAmor's new swag, his new merch store needs to have a shirt that simply says pivot, period. And that's it. I would buy the heck out of that shirt, man.
Oh man. We'll follow up on that, because that's a great idea. No, I love it. Burnout. When you start to dread the idea of going live, then it might be burnout.
Yeah.
When you think it takes too much work to start your stream, or to think about even starting your stream, not even pushing the button, but like getting to that point of like, opening up OBS, right? Turning on your lights and doing whatever you need to do to get started. When you either in that moment or the time leading up to that moment during that day, and you're like, man, I really like don't want to do it. And there'll be days where you feel like that, and that's fine. But if you find that's a consistent thought, when it becomes not just once that one time a couple weeks ago, but it becomes like the thing 2 or 3 times out of the week, when you sit down to do it, then you might be burnt out. You might be burnt out.
Yeah.
What I know you said you got burnt out at one point and stopped for like 9 months. What did you do to like recharge in that 9-month period?
That's such a good question. I overhauled my routine, man. Because I was a late night streamer too at the time. I used to stream 8 p.m. Pacific till like 1 a.m. At latest. I overhauled everything with my free time. So instead of streaming, I would either read, go on a walk, or watch a movie with my wife, right? And so what I ended up officially doing over time was I bought myself so much more time. I was getting in bed earlier, and I ended up sleeping a full 8 hours, which was like unheard of for me in my adult life at that point. And I ended up with that one change of like taking a break from streaming and finding more time. I ended up getting up earlier. I started waking up at 6, 7 in the morning, which was unheard of for me because I would normally wake up at 8 or 9 in the morning because I wouldn't have to be at the office till 10. I started waking up at 6 or 7 and I started going to the gym, man, which was crazy. I started working out regularly.
Moore's getting swole.
I didn't get swole, but I lost a lot of weight, and then I hired a personal trainer. Nice. And then I hired a personal trainer, and then I started seeing a therapist to just like sort my stuff out. And I'm not saying you have to be as drastic as I was, but I did the full overhaul where I was just trying to find, as silly as it sounds, I was trying to like find peace or find myself. I was just trying to like.
That's not silly. That's you going through what you felt like you needed to do to get you right. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, that's what I use Lego for. I use Lego for like my moment of zen.
Yeah.
My meditation
for
moment.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I took a step back, and a lot of that feeling, which maybe some of it was burnout for sure. Some of it was just not really feeling like I knew what I was doing. Some of it was not having good direction on where I wanted to go. I fell into a lot of good habits, healthier habits. And even 6 months into it, I was like, I was starting to think about coming back, but I gave myself more time just because I wanted to, really feel good about coming back and really feel like I was doing it for the right things. And I came back to do it, not for the numbers, not for feeling good about how entertaining I was, but I came back because, again, I wanted to do something good with the platform. I wanted to do good things with it, which included charity streams. But then I also just wanted to like provide a place where people can enjoy the same stuff that I did and not have to deal with all the stuff that we deal with in our stressful daily lives.
Well, and that goes back to something you said earlier. You said this, but advice for newer streamers. I actually had this conversation with a fellow streamer a couple weeks ago, and I said, because he was sounding like burnout, like sounding like he was dealing with some burnout, right? And I sent him a private message, and I said, remember why you started streaming. Right. What was that reason? Okay. And there's your, like, that's your goal. Okay. So if that was your reason, then what do we need to do to hit that goal and that reason? Are you already hitting it and you just need to kind of self-reflect on it? Or has your goal changed? But at least go back to what it was initially for you to hit that go live button. Like what it was. And you kind of said that, as well earlier. So you need to remember that as a streamer. What was that, what was that reason? Right. What do you want to get, Well, let me ask you this. So now that you are back to streaming, what are you doing now to recharge, to keep yourself fresh with all of your, is the crossing the streams thing really helping?
Crossing the streams is helping a lot, actually, because I'm making content that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's really something that it's a passion project for me, because I went in, you know, and I do want to shout out Pan Fred Nudo, because Fred has just been incredibly encouraging to me in that, you know, that idea also kind of sparked from having him on my 24-hour charity stream where we were talking about what Lego and whatever.
Did he give you the old hear me out?
No, but he helped me realize that was super like getting to know him. That's the part that stuck out to me, was getting to know him and getting to know Ace and AZ on my stream. And I was like, could I make something out of this? And Fred and I talked about it. He's like, you should just make a thing out of it. And so for crossing the streams, like, Fred had a lot to do with that and him motivating me to continue. But back to the question of, you know, how do I feel energized, or how do I recharge? I think it's really focus on knowing where I'm at mentally, right? Like knowing where I'm at. If I feel like it's too much or I'm overwhelmed, because there have been times where I felt like that. You know, I took about a month off of Lego builds as a stream, but I still did crossing the streams once a week, right?
Sure.
And I was like, I'll put all my energy into this, but I need to scale back the build streams because I need some more time. And I just needed time to relax. I needed time to also assess where I was and figure out if there's, again, pivoting, right?
Pivot.
It was about time to pivot. I needed to figure it out. I need to figure it out. For me, it was just being really aware of where I was at, mental health wise, just mentally. If I needed time, don't be afraid to take it. Being communicative with the people involved, right? With my community. You know, my Discord is always first to know if something's like, hey, I need to take a week off, or I need to take tonight off. And so I just make the time to recharge, and I check in with myself a lot. You know, sometimes feedback from both the community or the people in my life helps a lot too, right? So like if the community's like, yo, you doing okay? Then you probably should stop and ask yourself if you're doing okay. Or, you know, if my wife is like, hey, you know, how's it going? Because you seem super tired all the time or super drained, which has happened. I'm like, you're right. Let's not stream this week. Right. So it's just being aware, being open to the feedback of people around you.
What do you want to get more out of your streams? What are you hoping to, you know, get to really gain out of your streams going forward?
Oh man, I have a couple more show ideas which I'm working on right now. Nice. All in the name of again continuing to raise up the Lego community on Twitch, as well as those who are out there, because you're, you know, I noticed the very thing that you asked about, the growth of the Twitch Lego community, right? If it's helping or if it's hurting us. And ultimately, yeah, you're right. A new Lego streamer's experience generally is very positive in that they get found usually. The community lifts them up. They get this big burst of support, and then it just kind of fizzles, right?
Right.
Not all the time, but sometimes.
Not all the time, but there is. I feel like when you look at the long journey that somebody like you has had and other streamers that has had, you know, again, we talked about it before, right? There are people that go 5 years without sniffing more than 5 people in their stream. They continue to do it. God love them. They continue to do it because they're having a good time. They're still having a good time. But I feel like I've seen that in the community where there's this initial burst of support because we love our community so much, but it's not a realistic expectation of what to expect day in and day out on this platform. It's just not.
Yeah. And I see this problem too. I'm so glad that you asked that question earlier, because I've been thinking about that, because I feel like there has been a number of people in the community who have experienced that and have gotten discouraged. And, I want people to do it as long as they feel happy to do so, right?
Yeah.
Like, I want, like, if they enjoy streaming, keep streaming.
Remember, go back to what I said, right? Why did you hit that go live button? Why? What was the reason behind that, right? As long as you continue to accomplish that goal, keep with it, stick with it, enjoy the experience, enjoy the moment. But remember why you hit that.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that. And my content going forward is hopefully, step one was crossing the streams, and that kind of putting a highlight on people who are in the community who, whose stories I wanted to hear, and putting them out there for everyone in the community to get to know. Step two now is, how can we get eyes on people in the community that have not just an interesting story like the folks on Crossing the Streams, but who have a hard time getting that message out there of, here's who I am, here's what I do, and here's why I do it. And so I'm starting a new series. I may as well announce it here. It's not going to be off the ground for another couple weeks, but I'm calling it Follow Fridays. On Friday,
love it.
On Friday, I mean, it's a thing on social media. You see on Twitter all the time. But on Fridays, I'll bring, and I'm playing with the format, but I'm looking at least an hour, 2 to 3 people in the community or communities adjacent to our community who, and I don't want to commit to specific numbers, but who feel like they want to grow, who don't feel like they have had an opportunity to share why they stream and what they're doing with it, what they're doing with their content. And so it's not going to be like Crossing the Streams in that I don't want the whole story and the perspective, but ideally the highlight is, here's someone that you should know. Here's someone that is in the community. Here's what they're about. They get to talk about it for a little bit. People can ask questions. One thing that I want in this content is more engagement, because we do Crossing the Streams as a more traditional podcast. Follow Fridays will be more like discussion, but then we bring in chat to ask questions, or they could address what people are saying in chat.
But this isn't a one-on-one scenario, right? You're talking about having a couple different people on with you at once. See, I like that. I love that, because
like a round table.
That gives a huge opportunity to invite people that probably don't normally hang out together on one platform, and having that melding of personalities, I think, is going to be fascinating. I love that. It's doing all the things that Crossing the Streams is not doing. Yeah.
When I looked at all the things that we weren't doing with Crossing the Streams, it's like, how can we do this in a way that the end goal is to hopefully again highlight creators, but also put them in a place where people actually kind of get the gist of what they do and who they are, right? And the end goal is hopefully I mean, I don't want people to blindly follow these people, right? I want you to come to Follow Friday and go and find their name, hit follow, and then that's the last you think of it. But I really am trying to build this in such a way that is that the creators who come on the show have thought about their content. The creators of the show know how to express what their content is going to be, and they can engage in some kind of conversation with the people in the chat about what that means to them and how they're going to do it.
So much like Crossing the Streams, or actually this question applies to both that show and potentially this new one. Are you looking to expand more out of the current brick building community? It's been Crossing the Streams has been very heavily brick building focused. Now you have brought in some people like a Chris Perillo as an example, right? Who kind of blurs the line, because he is really just chatting streamer, but is a huge Lego fan, but primarily minifig fan, right? but he's all about the makers and the crafters and you know, the 3D printing and technology and things like that. So he's like been the one, I feel like, sidestep from the normal routine of Lego. But is that your ultimate goal, is to start really branching out, or do you want to mainly stick to the Lego community?
Yes. I mean, the answer is yes, in terms of like, I'd like to expand it. Chris Perlo was an experiment, honestly. I mean, obviously, you know, he's a great guy, great creator, fantastic community, but which checks all the other boxes of the guests, in my opinion. But he was an experiment in the context of, he wasn't really a brick builder, right? I mean, he's a Lego fan, admittedly, but he wasn't. His core content isn't that. It's all about making and creating, 3D printing, and just chatting. So that the long-term goal for this show is that, yes, is we'll do more. We'll do more with other people.
That's good. That's good. I like that. I like that idea. I have one final question for you, but before I do, I've got I want to pass it over to my co-host here to see if there's any additional questions that you have for our guest before we.
You might be touching on it later on, but I'd like to know, like, where we can learn about, like, what games you have coming up, and, you know, like, what you have kind of, how can we find you, and, you know.
Yeah, where does Pipeworks, like, where does all that information kind of rest, and where can we get all that? Or do we just drop into your stream and bug the crap out of you until you give us spill all the beans?
Pipeworks.com is our website. We're also on social media. You can search for like Pipeworks or Pipeworks Studio. It'll be pretty clear when you search, you'll find us. We do a lot of different games, as I mentioned before. We're gearing up to release Magic and The Walking Dead, which are two bigger titles right now. Keep an eye on those spaces for more things. We got more things coming, and I'm sure there'll be even bigger announcements ahead that I can't speak to, or else I'll probably get fired. So I won't talk about that anymore.
Those blasted NDAs, man. I'm telling you. Bane of my existence. So this has gone. We have gone. Listen, this is how awesome this show has been. We have been sitting here for almost 2.5 hours, and it feels like 15.
Wow.
To me, it feels like 15 minutes. I don't know how it feels for chat and for everybody else, but this I could probably. I'm literally been speeding through my questions because I saw the ticker and I saw how long it was taking. I could probably have sat here for at least another hour talking to Amor, just you know, about things, and that's one of the many things he brings to his community, to his channel, especially to the Crossing the Streams podcast and show that you can watch the live recording on Twitch, just like you can with the RutPOP podcast. But then he posts that to YouTube later, and then hits all the podcast channels as well. The big question I have for you, More, and I know you know it's coming. I know you know it's coming. I hope to God you prepared. It's so funny. He's gone through 21 of these, and every single person, no one prepares. No one prepares for this question.
Would think people prepare.
You would think people would prepare for it. So I'm curious if you prepared for this. Who do you want to go through this process on Crossing the Streams? Who would you like to see go through this process?
Jang.
Jang. We're calling you out, Jang. Where you at, bro? Jang. Listen.
Dropping the gauntlet.
We're dropping it. Okay. Mic drop. Jang, get your booty in here. Actually, not here. Not here, because you need to go to MoreAmor's channel.
In the little square box.
Yeah. You need to go to MoreAmor.
I'm going to say it. I'm going to leak it. I've already reached out to him, but I haven't heard back.
Oh, see, we're calling him out. We are literally calling him out right now. Okay.
I know he's busy though. Let me be real. I know he's busy. So
and his schedule is so erratic. Like he's the prime example of consistently inconsistent. I never know when he's going to go live. It's just pretty much every day. Like it's like, I'm going to go live today. Don't know how long. Gonna keep rolling. Have no idea what time he's gonna start. Whatever. He is the reason you hit that bell notification icon so you can be notified when he goes live. Like that is literally why you do that, because you don't know when he's gonna go live. But he's, again, I understand that he's busy and whatever. But Jang, I'm looking right at you, dude. dude, we need your story. We need an hour and a half. An hour and a half. You know what? Amor, could we get it done in an hour and 15 minutes? Do you think you could get it done in an hour and 15 minutes with Jang? Could we?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. We're negotiating now, Jang. Let's get you at an hour and 15 freaking minutes. 75 minutes. That's all we need. That's all we need. 75 minutes. Okay. Get into Crossing the Streams with MoreAmor. Okay.
Yeah.
Just make it happen. Make it happen.
Would love to see it.
How many people do you have already booked out? Like in the future? Or are you just kind of going week by week at this point?
I usually am 2 to 3 ahead at a time.
Nice.
So I have the next 2 lined up. There have been weeks where it's been week to week only because either people's schedules have changed or availabilities have changed. Yeah. And behind the scenes, admittedly, I'm scrambling to get a guest on. But I keep, this is the game designer in me. A lot of us work in spreadsheets. So I have a spreadsheet like of all, like the name, time of contact, whether we've scheduled it or not, and then that the status of where they are. So but I only reach out 2 to 3 weeks ahead of time, only because I know schedules change.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, Mr. MoreAmor, thank you so much. The question is now, do we split this up into 2 different podcasts or keep it as one long,
I don't know,
2.5 hour epic? It is literally our Lord of the Rings of podcasts. That being said,
it's our most ambitious crossover ever.
Mr. MoreAmor, where can people find you? I want to give you an opportunity to advertise yourself here, please, sir. So give all of the shout outs you possibly can, all of your locations people can find you, the shows they can find you on, and so on and so forth. Charity, everything. And go.
Twitch.tv/MoreAmor, Twitter.com/MoreAmor, Instagram.com/More_Amor, extra-life.org/MoreAmor, YouTube.com/MoreAmor. So mostly MoreAmor everywhere. You can find me. Podcast, there are Crossing the Streams might be hard to find, but search for MoreAmor and you'll find me there too. So that's where I'm at.
Awesome. Mr. Brandon Rutledge, where can the kids find you on social media these days?
Yeah, I'm not doing any of the amazing things that Mr. Amor is doing, but I am on Twitch and Twitter at the Rut Legend.
Awesome. And I am on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, and even Hover at Zach M. Rutledge. Mr. MoreAmor, you guys, you have been absolutely fantastic. For all of you guys in chat, as soon as we're done here, we will we'll end the show, and then we will do the normal Twitch things that we do here. Thank you guys so much for being here, both of you guys for being here, and chat for being here as well. And we will catch you guys next time. Thank you guys so much. Bye-bye.
That was a blast.